stepped closer and grabbed my wrist, branding me with his touch, making revulsion coil inside of me. He indeed was an idiot, and now he had angered the Alpha King. The way his eyes held those deep emotions for me and stared as if into my soul sent a warm, fluttery dampness unfurling low in my belly. I stumbled to my room, my legs feeling unsteady beneath me. I slumped on my bed with my arms spread wide while my eyes closed, fantasizing about his naked body. The man was a mountain of rigid muscles, and all I wanted to do was wrap myself around him, let his skilled hands map every contour and hollow of my body, a Euro's landscape, to kiss every inch of that tanned skin of his. Alas, the man was a jerk though. Why couldn't I get him out of my head? It was like he had occupied the very crevices of my brain. I tossed and turned in the bed, but sleep evaded me. It was during dawn that I could finally close my eyes and get some sleep. Next few days were spent in the same constant torture. Every time I saw Asher, my raw desires would bubble to the surface. He kept a stoic face and bland expressions whenever we would come face to face, but I knew deep under that calm facade, I affected him to a level he didn't wish to accept. Here, I have prepared your contract. Read it, sign it, and stick to the rules. Your salary is mentioned at the bottom. If you want it raised, let me know. Asher handed me the contract one day before heading to his office. Our gazes met for the briefest second before he cleared his throat and left. His silverish gray coat perfectly hugged his muscled body. It didn't bunch or wrinkle. I sighed heavily, a tight, warm tension coiling low in my belly. I took my time reading it once he was gone. He had detailed everything from what Oliver should eat down to his bedtime. Failure on any front would lead to my sacking as the nanny, and my eyes dipped to the amount written at the end of the contract, and my eyes widened in shock. The amount was way beyond what I had anticipated. He indeed was generous. I took the pen and signed it and placed it on the table. Oliver was still sleeping since it was the weekend. He was such a joy to be around. I waited for him to wake up and greeted him when he did. "Good morning, Anna." He threw his arms around me and hugged me lovingly. "Good morning, let's get you freshened up." He had a fun breakfast of pancakes, whipped cream, fruits, and milkshakes. After breakfast, I asked Oliver what he would like to do. "I want to visit an amusement park. My father has never taken me. I want to go on the rides," he wistfully told me, and my heart sank faster than a stone. Inwardly, I cursed his father. If only the man knew to use his brain to deal with his child as well. "No worries, Ollie, I will take you." I patted his head. We changed, and out of habit, I hid my shuriken knives in the folds of my sundress. Soon we were heading to the amusement park I had visited numerous times during my childhood. I could sense Oliver's excitement as his eyes widened seeing us arrive. We had brought one guard with us. Purchasing the tickets, we made our way in. The amusement park was brimming with overexcited kids and their not very keen parents. Vendors and stall owners who were selling ice creams, balloons, and popcorn. The cheers and shouts of people enjoying the rides filled the air. Oliver jumped and tried to run ahead, but I held his hand. "Calm down, we will see everything." I laughed at his enthusiasm. "I want to go on the roller coaster first." He enthusiastically pointed towards the grand red roller coaster. "Sure, let me get the tickets." He saw the long line form to get on the roller coaster. "I want ice cream too. Can you get me one while I wait for the ride?" he asked, and I turned towards the guard. "Take him to the line and I will get ice cream and tickets." "Don't let go of his hand," I ordered, and he nodded. I moved away, walking towards the ice cream stall. A slight uneasiness birthed inside me, telling me something wasn't right. Quickly buying the ice cream, I tried to return where I had left Oliver, but the ground shifted from underneath my feet when I found chaos there. People were running here and there, afraid. Some were on the ground. Something terrible had happened. The ice creams dropped from my hand in panic. Something felt extremely off, and I could sense several pairs of eyes on me. Every female and assassin instinct in my body came alive, and I knowingly began to walk towards a secluded part of the park behind the maze because everyone was running towards the exit. I knew people were following me, keeping their distance. My heart hammered against my chest, but I took deep breaths and brought my nerves under control. Reaching the spot, I turned and saw 4 burly men making their way towards me from 4 different directions. From their physique and looks, I could tell they were werewolves. Their beady eyes were focused on me. I extracted my knives and held them in my hands, readying myself for the attack. I knew in my bones that these men were responsible for the disappearance of Oliver and the panic, and I was about to make them pay. Taking my stance, I asked with a growl, "Where is Oliver?" They ignored my question as the one in the lead attacked me with a punch directed towards my throat. I easily dodged by bending down and punching him straight in the tender, unguarded spot between his thighs. A girl can't play nice when faced with 4 men, and I had no regrets. "I am going to cut that vulnerable core of your strength and feed it to you," I yelled as he slumped to the ground like a heavy sack of potatoes clutching at the agonized spot. Next 2 were appalled seeing me move so quickly. I twirled the knives in my hands as they jumped, and I twisted my body at 180 degrees with my knives slicing the tendons of their legs. I needed them alive, so I avoided hitting vital spots. They shrieked like a bunch of schoolgirls and clutched their legs. The 4th one immediately gave up, raising his hands as I got up and walked towards him with my raised, bloodied knives. "I will only ask this once, and then I will gut you like the pig you are if you won't answer. Where is Oliver?" My eyes blazed in anger that was driving me at that moment. He raised his hands and said in panic, "We killed the boy, and you will die now at the hands of the Alpha King since you failed to protect his son." I blinked at him, trying to shove the rage down. The way his voice was trembling, I knew he was lying. Using the back of the shuriken knife, I punched his temple. He fell to the ground with a shriek. For men so big, they fall easily. "Who sent you? Was it Ruby? Tell me the truth about where Oliver is." The man was perplexed as he got up and rubbed his temple. His companions were scrambling to their feet as well. "Ruby? We don't know anyone by that name." "We were sent by a man to find you," one of them responded. "Who?" I asked, narrowing my eyes at him, threatening him with my knife. "Who would want to come for me?" Noah's name surfaced, and I wondered if he had found my true identity and wanted me dead. But was he stupid enough to send these idiotic thugs my way? "Take me to him, right NOW, I demanded, kicking another one, and he howled in pain. My alpha aura leaked out. Even without my wolf, I possessed a dominant one. Their knees shivered and their heads bowed in submission. "Fine, stop hitting us," he pleaded, rubbing his knee. I followed them to their vehicle, trying to get to the bottom of this. I knew they couldn't have harmed Oliver. They weren't capable enough. They hobbled and opened the door, and I pushed the one trying to sit in the passenger seat aside and climbed in. "Drive," I commanded. The driver was the same man I had kicked in his vulnerable lower root. The others filed in the back of the car, and he instantly obeyed. The thought of Asher going livid circled my mind, but right now I had to find Oliver. I should have taken that stupid guard's number. "Who is your alpha?" I asked, staring up ahead. "No one. We are rogues. We work on contracts," he answered. This time I thought he was telling the truth. "So basically, you people are hired muscles who do other people's dirty work." "Shame on all of you," I reprimanded, trying to reel in my anger. If anything happened to Oliver, I would kill them all, slowly and painfully. "We gotta eat," one of them answered in a small voice. He was still rubbing his leg from where I had cut him. We arrived at the seaside soon and drove along the coast for a few minutes. The air was heavy with the salty taste of the sea. The waves crashed against the sandy shore. This was a different part from where we lived. A grand condominium came into view, and the car came to a halt in the front. The glass and concrete structure screamed wealth, and I wondered if it really belonged to Noah. "Here, you will find your answers inside room number 3. The one who had been driving handed me a silver keycard. I took it and stared at him, and he raised his hands while saying, "That's all we were asked to do. We were to bring you here, bound in ropes, but you came by your choice. If there is a trap inside, or if anything happened to Oliver, I will find you all and give you such painful deaths that you would curse the days you were born," I warned, with my finger pointed towards them. The fear in their eyes was real as they got in their car and hurriedly fled. I noted the number on the license plate and turned towards the condominium. There were not many people in sight. The guard stopped me, but I showed him the keycard, and he pushed open the glass door and let me enter. The place was luxuriously decorated, and it was apparent only rich people lived there. After a brief search, I found room No. 3 with the golden door. Unlocking it with the keycard, I wearily entered the dark room, very quietly. I fumbled for the switch and found it. Quickly I flipped it and turned the lights on, letting the place be flooded by the white light. I was slightly taken aback to see that the room was empty. There was no one inside. It only had minimal furniture. A couch, 2 chairs, a bed, a closet, and a nightstand. Everything was neatly placed, but I couldn't see any personal belongings. I quickly began to search the closet, drawers, and the bed for any clue on who might live there. The professional habit came in handy as I searched every nook and cranny of this place. Disappointed and agitated, I dropped on the couch and frustratedly took my face in my hands when I found absolutely nothing. What was going on? I wished to punch something to take out some frustration, but I heard several footsteps outside. Jumping off the couch, I quickly hid behind it, watching and observing from the side. My shuriken knife was held in my right hand as I tried to keep my beat steady and stay in control of the situation. The door opened with a slight creak. In stepped some people and my eyes almost fell out of my sockets seeing Asher among them. My jumbled mind even got more confused seeing him. Did he kidnap his own son just to frame me? Was he so desperate to get rid of me?
I had doubts about Anna, so I asked my assistant, Hayden, to follow her wherever she would take Oliver out of the house. He did just the same when they decided to visit the amusement park. She cunningly went to the side when a bunch of rogues tried to snatch Oliver from his guard by shooting him in the stomach with a silver bullet, sending the whole park into chaos. Hayden intervened when they were trying to put Oliver in the van. He beat them to the pulp and rescued Oliver from them. One of them informed Hayden that it was Anna who had paid them to kidnap my son. He told the guards to take them to one of our secret locations. When Hayden called and informed me, I was beyond livid and hurried to be by my son's side. Oliver was pretty shaken up and he was crying when I arrived. I quickly hugged and calmed him. "Don't cry, I am here. It will be all right." He clung to me and stifled his cries. I decided to take Oliver to my secret residence, another apartment I owned in a seaside condominium. No one knew about me owning a room there. He would be safe. Amidst this kidnapping, she could send more men and we could never know who would be lurking. Reaching the place, we alighted the car and hurried towards my room. I held Oliver's hand as my assistant kicked the door open and we entered. I should have never trusted that conniving woman, trying to seduce me to lower my guard so she could kidnap my son. My head was spinning thinking of how she tried to trick me and acted all sweet with Oliver. Instantly, Blaze's head perked up. "Someone is inside with us. I can hear the faint heartbeat," he stated. And then her scent hit us, confusing me further. What was she doing in my room? Shouldn't she have run away after that botched attempt to kidnap Oliver? "Search the room, Hayden," I ordered my assistant, and he took a deep sniff as well, which led him behind the couch where Anna was hiding. Seeing she had been found, she left her hiding place and straightened up, holding her combat knife. It was coated in someone's blood and confusion marred on her face. Her eyes widened as they shifted from me to Oliver and then back at me. Oliver was scowling with his arms crossed. "Oliver, you are safe." A genuine smile gathered on her face as she tried to take a step towards him, but I pulled Oliver back and stood against the wall, sending her a death glare. I wished to observe what she would do next as Hayden lurched at her. "You traitor," he shouted in rage and attacked. She effortlessly dodged, although she was taken by surprise. He wasn't even able to graze her. "Traitor, what are you people doing here?" she asked in confusion, turning around to face Hayden while taking on an attacking stance. Hayden lurched at her again. He was a giant compared to her, and yet she was not intimidated. He was agile and quick as she jumped and elbowed his temple, a vital spot, sending him tumbling to the ground. Blaze excitedly howled inside me, seeing Anna, a wolfless girl, fighting like that with one of our strongest warriors. I couldn't peel my eyes off her as the curtain of her red hair swayed, and she straightened up with her ablaze eyes on Hayden. My assistant was angered beyond words as his raging howl filled the room. He went on all fours, ready to transform in his wolf form. He had realized he was no match for her in his human form. "Oliver, what do you think? Should I let Hayden deal with her, or we give her a chance to explain why she tried to kidnap you?" I asked my angry son. Despite being mad at her, he was observing her with a keen interest. "I would like to hear why my mate tried to betray me." "Call off Hayden, Dad," Oliver answered. I agreed with him and wanted to hear her explanation. "Hayden, back down," my command rumbled in the room, and Hayden instantly bowed his head in submission and stopped his transformation. But his gaze remained on Anna as a precautionary measure in case she tried something funny. Anna was slightly taken aback seeing I had called him off and peeked at us. Oliver and I walked over to the couch and settled. I draped my arm over the headrest and faced her, trying to show indifference. But Blaze was pacing in my head, seeing the strong woman she was. Explain. You have 2 minutes before I decide your fate. Why did you send those men to kidnap Oliver? Me? She pointed to herself and asked in shock. I didn't send anyone. I was jumped by a bunch of rogues when I went to fetch ice cream for Oliver. They told me they had killed Oliver and would kill me too. I busted their asses and some form of twisted truth tumbled from their mouths that a man had sent them to kidnap Oliver and bring me here. I keenly observed her facial expressions and eyes. All I found was confusion but couldn't detect any lies. He continued to speak. I told them to bring me to the man or I would end their lives. They brought me here and handed me this keycard. She fished out an identical keycard to mine and handed it to me. I was confused. Someone had clearly gone to lengths to copy my keycard and planned this all. Seemed like we both had been tricked. It's true. I was the one who had asked Anna to get ice cream, and she wasn't the one who left him with the guard. Oliver nodded his head and left my hand. Rushing over to Anna. You came for me? He questioned with expectation, lacing his voice. He cradled him in her arms and affectionately stated, there were no traces of lies. I was worried sick for you. This was the only lead I had, so I came. The location of this place was only known to me and my few guards. We hadn't been here since I met Anna. She couldn't have known about it. Someone else was behind this. I instantly mind-linked Hayden. Find out who is behind all this. Interrogate those rogues. I want answers. Yes, Alpha, he solemnly said through the mind link as I focused my attention towards Anna and Oliver.
Seeing Asher visibly relax and Oliver alive lifted a mountain of burden off my shoulders. But someone had tried to frame me. I couldn't forgive and forget. I am going to get to the bottom of this matter, and once I do, heads are going to roll, I announced, staring at Asher. A hint of a smile I observed tugging at his lips at my statement. He never smiled. I'm on it too. We'll share the findings with you. Be very vigilant. It seems like we have some common enemies, Asher told me while getting up and calling Oliver to his side. Oliver refused and kept clutching my hand. He expectantly stared at me and asked, Will you have dinner with me? I am hungry, and it dawned on me that he mustn't have eaten anything amidst the kidnapping fiasco. You didn't eat anything? I asked, and he shook his head at me. It pained me to see that a child was left hungry because of someone's evil plans. I am starving and I would love to eat something delicious. Please, please, come with us. He insisted, and I bent down to hug him and said, All right, since we all escaped unscathed, I will treat you to a special hot pot. I am sure you will love it. Really? You will take me to a restaurant? He blinked at me in reverence as if I had said something extremely pleasing. Of course. He stole a glance at his father and then quietly answered, but his eyes shimmered in excitement. I have never eaten at a restaurant before. Oh, and rightly so. You won't be eating there today as well. I have been right to not let you go out before. Today's incident proved that, Asher sternly answered, towering over the both of us. Both his hands were shoved deep down into his black pants pockets, and he held this air of superiority about him that suited his personality. He was wearing a half-sleeved polo t-shirt today, which gave him a casual look, and that fresh haircut had made him look slightly different than his usual self. More boyish. Oliver's body deflated like a balloon as his shoulders stooped and his lips downturned in disappointment. I stayed quiet as well because Asher had a point. Enough drama had been caused for today. I didn't want to put Oliver's life in danger again. Seeing our fallen faces, Asher cleared his throat. Maybe I should accompany the two of you to the restaurant and we can all eat there, he said with a hint of playfulness. Seeing that we didn't negate his decision earlier, he changed it rather quickly. Yes, yes. Oliver jumped in the air a few times while still holding my hand. The smile had returned to his face. Let's head out. My guards will accompany us, Asher declared, and we gladly followed. Reaching his black Mercedes, his driver opened the back door for us. Oliver and I climbed in and settled down. Asher perched himself on the driver's seat. Join the others and follow behind, Asher instructed his driver. He bowed and left. I was slightly surprised to see him driving the car himself, His changed decision seeing his son sad made me realize how he genuinely cared for his child, but he didn't know how to talk to his kid. Asher, being an alpha, treated Oliver like one of his subordinates instead of treating him like a son, which really infuriated me, and his words proved I was right. Oliver, remember to behave at all times when we are out. I will not tolerate any rude behavior and will discipline you, Asher announced from the front seat while placing his left hand on his thick thigh. He drove with his right. He wanted Oliver to act as an adult, forgetting he was a kid who was allowed to have fun. Let him enjoy. After the day he had, why do you always have to act as a dictator? Can't you be a father at times? I asked, unable to hold myself back. Asher glanced at me from the mirrors and offered me a confused look. What do you mean? That's how my father always treated me. He taught me discipline and gave strict punishments if I failed to act the way he desired. I don't even give physical punishments to Oliver, he said as if it was a big deal. I looked down at Ollie and he had closed his eyes with his head in my lap. Did he not realize that his method was completely wrong? He was just copying his father instead of changing the style that had caused him harm and turned him into a man who could hardly express his feelings. Was this the reason he suffered so much with Oliver at an emotional level? With Oliver's mother not being in the picture, it didn't help his case either. He needed parenting classes, that was for certain. Physical punishments are never the solution. They dim a child's confidence. Just be there for him. He doesn't need companionship. I provide him with every luxury so he can live comfortably. His stupid words wanted me to bang my head on the glass window. How could he be an alpha and still be so oblivious to the needs of his child? Feelings and emotions were certainly lacking in this hulk of a man. All muscles and no emotions had certainly made Asher dull. He needs your presence more than anything, not your money, not the expensive toys. He values your time above all else, and he needs a female's presence. My words were followed by silence as he stared at me from the rearview mirror. I knew he was contemplating them. What are you suggesting, Miss Anna? He finally asked. Find yourself a female companion. Oliver needs a MOA euro. I didn't get to complete my sentence when Asher sent a threatening growl from the front, and Oliver jerked awake. I quickly gathered him in my arms. I would recommend keeping your nose away from my personal matters. Threats coated his blazing eyes, but it didn't intimidate me. Both of us quieted down. A silent understanding passed between us. I apologize, Ollie. I didn't mean to upset you. We won't fight. I tried to reassure him as he climbed onto my lap and laid his head on my chest, hugging me. Please, both of you, stop fighting. Can we have one peaceful day after everything we have been through? Oliver asked, staring wistfully from me towards his dad. I will eat with you more from now on, and we'll take you out too, once we have captured whatever enemy is after us. Asher spoke from the front as he single-handedly maneuvered the car and took a sharp left turn. Really, Dad? Oliver excitedly clapped and Asher grunted in approval. The boorish alpha had a soft spot for his son. I just needed to enlarge it and ensure he understood how much his presence meant to his child. Can I tell a joke? Oliver expectantly asked. Of course. Which letter has the most water in it? Oliver questioned, grinning from ear to ear. I knew the answer but faked ignorance by shrugging my shoulders. His father did the same. See, of course it's so easy, he said while laughing. I burst into laughter too, and even Asher tried not to grunt and let out a snort, which was closer to laughter. I have one too, Asher announced, surprising us both. He didn't seem like someone who enjoyed telling jokes. We listened intently. What did the ocean say to the sand? His voice had suddenly gotten deeper. Both of us pondered. Oliver tapped his index finger on his temple. Why are you hot? Oliver asked, still looking doubtful. No, it said nothing, just kissed and left. Asher shrugged his shoulders and both of us guffawed in the back seat. That was a good one, Dad. I didn't know you could tell jokes. Tell me more. Oliver placed his hands around his chubby face and attentively listened as Asher told him a few more jokes, making us laugh. Finally, our eyes met again in the rear-view mirror. Such striking blue of his eyes was highlighted by the smile that graced his plump lips. His perfectly aligned white teeth were on display. I couldn't help but be lost in the charming smile. It was rare to see him like that. Mostly he remained so stuck up with a permanent scowl on his face. I had started to believe he was incapable of smiling. and then out of nowhere the image of his proud, unyielding ridge and glorious naked body flashed in my brain. That night when his towel had accidentally fallen and all of his glorious form had been revealed, lived rent-free in my brain. A deep blush covered my cheeks, and I quickly averted my gaze so I would stop peeking at him. But my quivering wellspring tightened, remembering his kiss where he almost sucked my soul out. I was still lost in the gorgeous daydream called Asher Ledwig, when his voice chimed into my ears and pulled me out. "Which restaurant do you like for hot pot?" he asked, still intently gazing at me from the rearview window. My dirty thoughts were nowhere near food. They were more focused on his rugged, earthy contours that could bring pleasures beyond my imagination. Flustered, I quickly spoke, trying to hide my embarrassment and flushed cheeks. They were almost burning now. "I don't have a preference, any will suffice." Asher mischievously nodded at me through the mirror, and I lowered my eyes. Oliver was observing though, and he curiously asked, placing his tiny hand on my forehead, "Why are your cheeks so pink? Do you have a fever?" I had to bite my lower lip to buy a few seconds to formulate a proper lie. No way I could tell the child. His handsome father had me flustered. The temperature of the car is very high. I am feeling hot is all," I answered in a shaky voice, and concern flashed in Oliver's eyes. But a sarcastic chuckle was heard from the front seat, embarrassing me further. I understood that Asher had seen right through my blatant lie. He had caught me staring earlier. Oliver turned his face and skeptically checked the thermostat settings, narrowing his eyes. "It's only 20 degrees C's, Dad. Can you please lower the temperature further?" "I don't want Anna to feel hot," he requested in his sweet voice. Asher asked no further questions, and reaching out with his left hand, he adjusted the settings to 18 degrees C. "Feeling better?" Oliver asked, turning towards me, and I nodded with a smile. This child was the epitome of care and love. "Yes." I leaned in his touch. Soon the car entered Chinatown and rolled outside a restaurant. I peeked outside and found the red brick structure of the Red Dragon restaurant, with a gold-painted dragon on its exterior structure. A wave of nostalgia washed over me seeing the familiar building. Dad used to bring me here all the time. Mom had passed away when I was only 1, so it was mostly me and Dad, and now he was gone too. Opening the door, I stepped out with Oliver in my arms. I tried to put him down, but he clung to me with his legs and arms. "Can you carry me? I am tired," he asked in his cute voice, tilting his head. And I didn't have the heart to say no to him. I didn't know why, but there was so much love for this little boy in my heart. "I will carry you," I answered with a smile, and adjusted him in my hold. Asher had also exited the car. Locking it, he gave us a curious look but didn't say anything. He began to lead the way as I followed him. The restaurant guard, dressed in a red and gold costume, bowed and opened the door for us in respect as we entered. The restaurant staff and people inside cast us curious and reverence-filled glances. Some began to murmur amongst themselves. One of the couples gasped and said, "What a beautiful family. Look how perfect they look with each other." I deeply blushed at the compliment and stole a glance at the hulking male in front of me. His jaw was set tight upon hearing the comments, but he remained tight-lipped. But I found them rather amusing and pursed mine. Did we really come off as a family of 3? Oliver lifted his head and pressed a tender kiss on my cheek, startling me. His arms went around my neck as he endearingly smiled. Love and care bubbled inside me at his action, and my heart completely melted. This was a different kind of love, a love I hadn't previously experienced. A loved one couldn't name but just feel with the depth of one's heart. Asher grunted at his action. It clearly didn't meet the standard he had set up for his son. Seeing his disgruntled father, Oliver leaned towards him and kissed his cheek too. "Relax, Dad," he whispered to him, and I had to giggle at the dumbfounded expressions that spread on Asher's face. He couldn't believe what had just happened, and he couldn't hide the surprise. At least the scowl disappeared. Restaurant owner, Mr. Shu, appeared at that time and respectfully bowed. He was an old man, and I remembered him from my childhood visits. "Greetings, and welcome to the Red Dragon. What a beautiful family has graced us with their presence today. Can I show you one of our private rooms? We offer discounts to the families as well," Mr. Shu stated with a smile. I was embarrassed and my cheeks scalded. Before I could explain or speak, Asher said to him, "Lead the way." Mr. Shu began to move and Asher followed him. I, on the other hand, wanted to explain the truth to him, but since Asher did not attempt to do it, I didn't want to make a scene. I was left with no choice but to do the same. With Oliver safely tucked in my arms, I entered the room. 2 waiters were already present with pleasant smiles. They offered us seats by pulling out the chairs. I seated Oliver first and then slipped into the comfortable chair. Presenting us the menu, they gave us privacy to decide what we wished to order. Asher was observing the decorations and ambience of the place. Red lanterns hung from above, lighting the place in a soft glow. I couldn't help but stare at his chiseled jawline as it appeared sharp like a razor under the light and ask, "Why didn't you correct him?" Asher's deep blue eyes flickered towards me and held my gaze for a few seconds before he spoke, with his lips twisting into a haughty smile. He was right. We are a family of 3, father, son, and his nanny. I slightly bristled at his words and tone. He was testing me again. But I needed him to fulfill my revenge plans, so I held my words back. He wasn't in the wrong as well. "As you say so, Mr. Ludwig," I answered. He tucked out his phone from his pocket and began to type. Oliver was fiddling with chopsticks, using them like 2 swords, whooshing them in the air. Mr. Shu appeared again and cheerfully inquired, "Ready to order?" Asher hadn't even touched the menu and he didn't seem very interested in that moment. He was typing furiously. Clearly lost in the contents of his phone, I took the initiative of ordering the food. "Can you give us 5 more minutes to decide?" I requested, and he bowed before saying and leaving. "Of course, my lady." I picked up the menu and skimmed through it while asking Oliver, "Do you like to try spicy food, or is it too much to handle?" Oliver halted his sword fight and excitedly said, "I love spicy food, but my dad doesn't. He prefers non-spicy food." Asher's head shot up from the cell phone and his fingers stopped dancing on the keypad. He stared at his son in surprise and asked, "How do you know about my dietary habits?" Oliver turned to him, flashing a cute smile. "Dad, I pay attention." I couldn't hide my own smile as I got ready to order. The waiter jotted it down as I asked him to bring 2 hot pots, one containing plain broth without a mixture of spices while the other with spices. After the waiter left, Mr. Shu arrived with 2 plates of fresh shrimp with lemon. "On the house for the beautiful family," he announced while serving us shrimp. We could dine on it as we waited for the main dish. I graciously thanked him for his hospitality and served Oliver some shrimp while slightly pushing the other plate in front of Asher. While we ate, I began to ask Oliver about his favorite things. "So which is your favorite color?" "Red," he instantly replied. It wasn't unusual. Children preferred gaudy colors. "Color of my hair," I answered with a smile, and he enthusiastically nodded. "Your favorite animal?" I asked next. "Polar bears, they are so fluffy, just like your cheeks." I pulled them with both hands, and he laughed. The voice was so infectious, and it made me feel closer to him. I will tell you an incident. Once I went for forest exploration with Hayden. We saw a sparrow chick on the forest floor. It seemed to have fallen from his nest, but we couldn't find it. So I made a nest for it using leaves and twigs. Saw the method on Google, he triumphantly told me, and I couldn't help but gush at the caring and soft nature he possessed and his exceptional talents. He indeed was gifted. "You did good, Oliver. I am so proud of you," I told him while taking a bite of the juicy shrimp. Our food arrived meanwhile, and waiters served both kinds of hot pots. I thanked them and served Oliver the spicy one. Asher took the plain hot pot and served himself. "Tell me about your life, Anna," Oliver curiously asked as he took a spoonful of the spicy broth. My life had so many adventures, especially the missions I had accomplished as an assassin. Although I wouldn't tell him about the killings, there were so many interesting places I had visited. I told him how I had jumped from planes, helicopters, bridges, and buildings, how I could sneak up like a cat without anyone noticing, and how I could block my scent using the scent blocker. I told him all about the weapons I possessed. Oliver was enthralled, holding on to every word I said. He occasionally laughed, filling out the surroundings with his giggles. You are amazing, Anna. I can't wait to get my own wolf and travel the world freely without Hayden on my heels. I want to have similar adventures, Oliver said smugly. Soon, little one, your time will come, I answered, patting his head, and his smile widened. Our conversation was interrupted by Asher suddenly coughing, and both of us turned our heads in his direction as Oliver asked with concern, Dad, are you all right?
After finishing talking to Hayden where I told him to keep me posted about the situation, I curiously watched Anna and Oliver converse. In between, our food was served and all three of us began to eat. It was delicious and my hot pot was not spicy at all. Anna clearly saw a child in Oliver, but what she didn't understand was both of us were Lycans. We possessed immense power, physical and mental, both of which needed to be monitored or they could break the human part of us. We were always trained from a very young age to hide our emotions and feelings, to remain detached and focus on the tasks at hand. I had personally trained Oliver in all these departments, and he was capable enough to handle and manage different tasks within the pack. At that moment, I was seeing a very different Oliver. He was completely immersed in Anna and everything she was saying. He wished to impress her with his talks of adventures. Seeing him in this light showed that he was still a child, and yet he was trying to grapple with the feelings he was developing for Anna. That made me envious, and I wondered where those feelings stemmed from. I wished to stay away from this woman, and yet she drew me in. Blaze suddenly buzzed in my head. I like the redhead. You can always claim her as your Luna, putting an end to Oliver's childish obsession. She will be ours, and Oliver can have a mother figure. Blaze's words made sense, but the wounds of what happened last time I chose to love someone and make her my Luna were still fresh. My heart had been broken once. I would never let another woman in. It was better to observe Anna for now. The woman was a ticking time bomb of seduction, and it was impossible to resist her at times, but I had to try. Seeing them two lost with one another, I felt slightly left out. Deliberately, I began to cough as if something had been stuck in my throat. Both of them quickly turned my way, and Oliver concernedly asked, Dad, are you all right? I only nodded and stole a sheepish glance at Anna. One look at me and she understood I was faking it. I saw her huff but held her tongue. Oliver quickly filled up the glass with water and handed it to me. Here, Dad. I accepted it and took a small sip while taunting Anna with my eyes. She slowly shook her head at me for my childish attitude, her cheeks going the color of tomatoes in annoyance. Someday I was going to pinch them. I loved when they turned red in embarrassment or anger. Even after becoming an assassin, the woman wore her emotions on her sleeve. Maybe we should change the table. Dad doesn't like spicy food. I think it's the smell that made him choke, Oliver declared, concern dripping from his words as he nervously watched me. Seriously, you are behaving worse than Oliver. Your son is smarter than you when it comes to dealing with emotions. Even Blaze taunted me for my childish behavior. No, I am fine now. Besides, today's dinner is for your happiness, so you needn't worry about it. I leaned forward and shuffled his hair, smiling at him. He visibly relaxed at my words and once again focused his attention towards Anna. She had pieced the meat for him and placed it on his plate so he could eat. He began to eat quickly. The more Anna offered him, the more he ate. I was enjoying my own meal, but slowly. I liked to chew properly before swallowing it. Oliver, on the other hand, was not properly chewing and eating more than he usually did. Oliver, slow down, I warned him lightly, but he didn't pay much heed to my words and kept stuffing his mouth with meat and soup. After a few minutes, he suddenly choked. Concerned, I stopped eating and was about to rush to him when Anna quickly patted his back and he spit out the morsel that had been stuck. Ollie, are you all right? She asked, concern evident in her words as her face took on that worried look. He cast a guilty glance towards me, and I couldn't be annoyed at how flushed his cheeks looked in embarrassment while his eyes watered and small hiccups escaped him. I shook my head and found it amusing. He learned his lesson the hard way like most kids do. I picked up the glass of juice and tried to hand it to him. Anna did the same. While I thought that Oliver would accept the juice from my hand, he astonished me by sipping from the one that Anna held. He didn't take it from her but let her make him drink it. His hiccups began to subside as he leaned on Anna and she gently stroked his raven hair, like a mother would do her child. Feeling better, Ollie? She asked tenderly. Yes, I am sorry, I should have listened, he answered in guilt. Don't worry, sometimes mistakes happen. Anna's voice was so soft, so different when she was speaking to him. You don't hate me. I made a mess, he playfully asked, and she chuckled. Not at all, you were too cute. She had such tenderness in her voice for him, and her eyes twinkled as she pulled his cheek again. He nestled with her. I watched them with a hint of amusement and jealousy. Although I was happy that my son had someone who cared so deeply for him, my inner child needed someone too. Blaze raised his head again at my random thoughts. You better up your game, old man, or Oliver might really steal her and make her his Luna. He mocked me, and I growled in annoyance, severing my link to him. I crossed my arms and watched them with a frown.
After we had finished our dinner, I had to use the restroom, so I excused myself. I will clear the bill and take Oliver to the car. You can join us there, Asher said, taking Oliver's hand. It's my treat. I will pay the bill, I informed him, grabbing my bag. Consider it my treat this time around. Maybe next time, Asher said, and I nodded, feeling slightly special to be treated by the Alpha King. Making my way to the restroom, I relieved myself and then proceeded to wash my hands and face. Making my way to the restroom, I relieved myself and then proceeded to wash my hands and face. Trying them, I exited the restroom only to be blocked by a tall blonde with a neon pink peplum dress accentuating her curvy body. She wore more makeup than necessary, giving her a look of a prepped-up Barbie doll, and that scowl on her face screamed trouble. You are here with Mr. Ludwig. What does he see in someone so plain? She sneered, and I had to let out a huff. These girls and the jealousy that stemmed from them. Simplicity? Maybe he is allergic to blondes with pink fetish? I retorted back, rolling my eyes, hitting the arrow right on the target. She placed her hands on her hips and her scowl deepened into something maleficent. How dare you? I should teach you a lesson. She raised her hand to slap me. I watched her, amused. It would be fun to break that pretty arm of hers. Before I could react, someone caught her arm from behind and jerked her away from me. The deep, dark voice sent a shudder down my legs. Get out of here. The blonde turned, finding her face to face with a very fuming Asher. Being so tall, he intimidated her just with his expression. Horrified, she mumbled an apology and hurried off. I was pleasantly surprised to see him come to my rescue, like my personal knight in shining shoes. I had it handled. Why are you here? I asked with a hint of surprise. His gaze finally found mine and intensified. He was trying not to look below my neck. Oliver was getting antsy. He believed someone kidnapped you or you fell in the toilet. I agreed with the second option. He answered with his signature smirk. Haha, very funny. I got held up by an angry admirer of yours. I simply shrugged and took a step forward, but he didn't take one back or turn around. We were an inch of each other now. His scent of wintry weather seeped into my nose, and unintentionally I took a deep whiff. He watched me with an amused expression, knowing too well I was scenting him. Why wasn't he backing down? I cleared my throat, and suddenly his eyes narrowed, and that smile molded into a frown. I didn't know why his mood suddenly shifted. What's wrong? I questioned, and he remained silent for a few more minutes before speaking in a grim voice. I just got information from Hayden through MindLink. The men he had captured at the amusement park spoke. They had been sent by Ruby to frame you. His words blazed me. My hands instantly fisted and my teeth grinded against each other. That bitch, how fucking dare she, coming after a child. I am going to rip her apart, I bellowed at her audacity. It makes sense now how you ended up in my room, Asher stated in a calm voice, seeing how agitated I was. It was true. Ruby knew that Alpha King didn't touch women and had never shown interest in any. Many had thrown themselves in his way over the years. So after kidnapping Oliver, she would have me kidnapped and taken to his room. He would enter in rage and end my life for trying to harm his child. The way those rogues had said that Oliver was dead. This was the reason. Everything fell into place like pieces of a puzzle, and it was complete now. If I hadn't already been working for Asher, I would have been long dead. I wished to handle Ruby on my own. I would appreciate it if you would leave her to me, I told Asher in defiance. He let out a scoff and teasingly asked, Can you handle her alone though? She seems rather resourceful. I knew I was handling things alone while she had the backing of 2 packs behind her plus an innumerable amount of manpower. Although I could always take help from Claude and Asher, I wished to do it on my own. To quench my revenge, this needed to be done solely by me. Noah and Ruby destroyed my life and took everything from me. My father, my pack, my identity, and my reputation. All I ask is to let me deal with them, please. I tried to keep my emotions in check, but my voice slightly quivered and a wave of concern passed over Asher's usually stony face. Tried to hide it, but I saw the glimmer of something in his eyes, something worrisome. Was he worried for me, or worried that I will mess this up? He pondered for a few more seconds before speaking. His sapphire-shaded clear eyes remained glued to my determined face. All right, but I will do that on one condition. You will have to accept it, he finally said, expecting an answer. Sure, state it. I was ready for anything as long as it served my purpose and didn't interfere with my plans. Asher was about to speak when we were interrupted by another voice, the voice which I hated with all my being now. Anna, he shouted in a shocked voice, and I had to reel all my emotions in to finally tune and face the devil. Yes, Noah. Several colors passed on Noah's face, seeing me stand there with Asher. Since I wasn't wearing contact lenses or the wig, he recognized it was me. So it had been you all along? He asked, dumbfounded, his eyes almost bursting from his sockets. He indeed was dumb to not recognize me until now. Yes, it was me. What do you want, Noah? I asked, fully turning to face him as Asher stood tall behind me. I could sense his heat, and it was reassuring in ways I couldn't explain. So first you tried to seduce me to make your way back in the pack, and now you are trying to seduce another man? Ruby was right about you. You are indeed shameful and have changed, he taunted, pointing his finger towards Asher and me. I heard Asher snort behind me at the allegation. He clearly found this clown amusing. My anger spiked, though. The disgust coiled inside me, and I wished to land a slap on his face. How did I find him handsome once upon a time? Did he not recognize the Alpha King he was desperately trying to mate? He had already met him briefly at Lancelot's birthday party. Although Asher was suited and had longer hair at that time, he was the same person. Noah really needed to get his eyes tested. Couldn't he scent the man? Or was there something wrong with his wolf? So many questions brimmed in my brain. This is my private matter, Noah. Whom I date or have a relationship with shouldn't be your concern. Since you rejected me and chose Ruby as your Luna, what right do you have to question whom I date or share my most intimate moments with? If I want, I can have a relationship with this man. An amused growl I heard from behind me. I knew Asher's wolf had developed a liking for me and enjoyed such conversations. At my words, Noah's eyes flashed with his wolf surfacing. His eyes wavered from me to Asher, and I saw jealousy clearly written on his face. He dismissively scoffed at Asher, who let a little of his aura seep out, letting Noah know he wasn't an ordinary wolf. And who is this man? Someone who seems to think he is from some coveted bloodline just because he has a strong aura. He doesn't deserve you. Come with me and we can make something work. Noah stepped closer and grabbed my wrist, branding me with his touch, making revulsion coil inside of me. He indeed was an idiot, and now he had angered the Alpha King. I jerked my arm free and stood between the two brooding men. Stop, Noah, I said sternly. But without taking the hint, Noah continued to throw jibes at Asher, while the latter's eyes slightly inked as his wolf peeked through at the idiot in front of him. This was getting interesting by the second. I couldn't wait to see the priceless look on his face when he would find out the truth. Why? Because he is an alpha too? I bet I can take him in one-on-one combat. You know how strong my wolf is, Noah countered, still glaring at Asher and not realizing he wasn't even in the same league as him. Asher amusedly watched him, letting him ridicule himself. I waited for him to refute Noah and tell him the truth, but Asher decided to stay quiet and enjoy the little act Noah was putting on for him. I pursed my lips, trying not to laugh out loud as I shook my head at him and his idiocracy. What? You think I am weak, Anna? Noah shifted his attention towards me and asked in exasperation. I think you are plain stupid and don't know when to shut up or give up, I retorted, tired of his nonsense. Asher finally decided to speak up. The amusement on his face had vanished and a subtle distaste had occupied it as he addressed me. "Is he your mate?" The mockery was profound in his voice. I clicked my tongue in distaste and answered, "Ex-mate." Noah's mouth opened at my answer as if I had said something insulting, but Asher cut him off with his scathing words. "Makes sense, such an obnoxious and disrespectful man doesn't deserve to have a mate. I appreciate you taking the bold step of getting rid of someone like him." I wanted to throw my head back and laugh hysterically. Noah was fuming by that point. His face contorted in rage to be insulted like that. "How dare you insult me like that? Do you have any idea who I am?" Noah barked, trying to take a step towards a very calm Asher. I remained between them. "No, but I guess you are going to tell me," Asher replied with a smirk. "I am Noah Carroll, Alpha of the Night Shadow Warriors Pack, owner of Carroll Industries." He tittered, stating everything that was supposed to be mine. "Never heard of you. I guess your net worth falls below $100 billion. Such people are not considered successful in my book. Try harder, and once you reach there, then come and talk." Asher haughtily shrugged his shoulders, taunting Noah even further. "You are just bragging now. What is your worth?" Noah pointed his finger at Asher, seeming utterly annoyed by how Asher had put him in his place. Before Asher could answer him, we all heard a tiny voice calling from behind him. "Dad!" It was Oliver, hurriedly making his way towards us. Noah's eyes fell on him and all that color drained from his face. His mouth opened wide in horror as he realized whom Oliver was calling Dad. This was going to be a priceless moment. Seeing Noah's face change colors like a chameleon gave me more satisfaction than I could have imagined. His mouth was opened like a fish out of water seeing Oliver. It seemed like he recognized him at least. Taking the opportunity to embarrass him some more, I made the introductions pointing towards Asher. "This is Mr. Asher Ludwig, the renowned Alpha King and my employer." Noah visibly gulped, trying to hide his surprise and astonishment. He had literally made a fool of himself in front of the very person he wished to make an impression. The ear-splitting grin on my face kept widening the more I stared at Noah's. Asher side-glanced me with his eyebrows raised, and I quickly adjusted my smile so it wouldn't be too obvious. "I apologize for my offensive behavior, Alpha King. I didn't know a Euro." Noah's voice weakened instantly and took on a flattering tone. His face was ashamed. Asher blatantly ignored him, and without saying a word, turned towards Oliver and gathered him up in his arms. "Yes, Oliver. Why was it taking so long? Anna, did you have an accident in the restroom? I was worried sick." Oliver squeaked with his lips downturned as he rubbed his eyes. He seemed sleepy. My body moved on its own and my heart slightly pained as I rushed to him. My hands stroked his head in affection. "Sorry, Oliver, I got occupied. I will be extra careful from next time onwards." I swiftly apologized and he nodded at me in approval. Without realizing I was standing right by Asher's side with my arms reaching out to Oliver, who was in his father's arms. We looked like a proper family. Noah's eyes narrowed at us. I could sense the jealousy bubbling inside of him. "So what now, you are playing family with the Alpha King? Or it's just a scheme to snatch the pack away and swallow Carroll Industries?" Noah suddenly taunted, misinterpreting the situation. I understood he believed I was trying to incur favors from Asher. "The pack and Carroll Industries are mine, and even with King's support, you wouldn't be able to take it from me." He sneered, his face holding animosity. The man only cared about his alpha position and the wealth my father's company had given him. His words left me speechless for a while as I tried to reel in the anger his words had ignited inside me. I finally blurted out, "That pack is mine and was always mine, and I will get back the alpha position, which should have gone to me after my father. Don't be mistaken, Noah, I will claim what has been due to me. I wanted to collaborate with the Alpha King so we could take our business to new heights, but it seems like he wants to collude with a traitor like you. Even with his support, if you ever get the Carroll Group back, it will be nothing but an empty shell. I will drain it of all the money and invest it somewhere else," he threatened, with a snicker, making my anger shoot up. I gritted my teeth in annoyance, but knowing these two pests, I knew it wasn't an empty threat. They would destroy my father's company just for the fun of it. I needed to play my cards right. It didn't deserve my pack or company, nor should they benefit from it. Adjusting my expressions, I softened my tone. We can discuss everything by sitting down instead of passing threats. I can talk to Mr. Ludwig about cooperation. Let the past stay in the past and we can move forward in peace. Hearing my soft, buttery voice, Noah's expressions softened as well. That's what I want too. Once I have sorted some stuff, I will welcome you back in the pack. We don't have to be enemies anymore. His voice took on that sultry tone which I didn't appreciate as his eyes scanned me up and down, making my skin crawl in disgust. Asher noticed his gaze too and quickly stepped in front of me and unapologetically said, "Mr. Noah, you should leave now. My son needs to sleep and we have to head home. Of course, we will meet again." Noah disappeared from the other door and I let out the breath I was holding. The man infuriated me to no limits, seeing my shoulders stoop and Oliver almost sleeping in his arms. Asher instructed that we head home. In the car, I took Oliver from Asher and he snuggled with me as I sat in the passenger seat. Asher took the driving seat and soon we were heading home. I was lost in my thoughts, staring out the car window at nothing in particular. I had no will to speak and Asher noticed that. He cleared his throat to get my attention. "I am ready to back you up, financially and in any other way you want. I would help you climb to alpha status and win your father's company back. You are the true Carol," he concluded while carefully maneuvering the car. I was stunned by his words and watched him in awe, my face half turned towards him. The low lights from the outside fell on his jawline and I found it to be relaxed emotions washed over me in abundance and I choked out, "Thank you, it means a lot to me. It's like an investment for me. Having a female alpha will be beneficial in the long run. Times are changing and you are the true heir," he very tactfully informed me. I nodded and asked, "What can I do for you in return?" Asher turned his head and meaningfully stared at me. His eyes then dipped to his son who was soundly sleeping in my arms. I saw them soften for him like they never did for anyone else. "I want you to take care of my son, guard him with your life and spend quality time with him over the next few days. I have some urgent business to attend to. I will be leaving him in your care." Asher's voice had this softness and warmth to it as he explained, "Consider it done. I will not let any harm come to him." I squeezed Oliver close to myself. "Thank you, Anna," Asher said quietly, and began to focus on his driving while I began to plan how to make these days fun and enjoyable for Oliver in the absence of his father. A trip to the mall sounded fun.